ॐ श्री परमात्मने नमः। अथ ध्यानम् पार्थाय प्रतिबोधितां भगवता नारायणेन स्वयं व्यासेन ग्रथितः पुराणमुनिनां मध्ये महाभारतम् अद्वैतामृतवर्षिणी भगवती अष्टादशाध्यायिनीम् अम्ब त्वा अनुसन्दधामि भगवद्गीते भवद्वेषिणी।
Thank you. Andy, close your eyes and be seated in a comfortable position. Make sure your back is erect and it is rested very well. Take your attention to your feet. Make sure they are relaxed. To your legs, relax. To your thighs, relax. To your hips, relax. Take your attention to your spine, to your back. Make sure they are erect, very well rested, and relax. Attention to your shoulders. Generally, it is stressed. Relax them. Be very conscious. Relax them. Attention to your neck, to your head, the top of your head, to your forehead, eyebrows, eyelids. Relax all of them. Attention to your lips, a gentle smile to be placed there, to your tongue, to your teeth, to your chin. Relax. Make sure your face is relaxed. The eyes are gently closed, not clenched. Just relax. Your neck, relax. Chest, relax. See if you can observe your heartbeat. Take a moment. Your stomach, relax. Your legs, relaxed. Scan your entire body. Make sure you are completely relaxed. Take the attention to your breath. Be there for some time till I prompt you next. Simply observe your breath. Even if your mind wanders, gently bring your focus back to breath. Please start. Attention to your breath. Attention to your breath. Slowly take your attention to the point in between your eyebrows. That is called Agya Chakra, the seat of knowledge, the seat of intuition, seat of understanding. Activate that. Take your focus to your Agya Chakra, the point in between your eyebrows, a point where you put your bindi, tilak. You may feel a certain amount of sensation. It's absolutely fine. Activate that. Attention in between your eyebrows. In between your eyebrows. Slowly get your attention back to your breath. Observe your breath. Now move your fingers a bit. Start rubbing your palms. Produce some heat and place it as a cup on your eyelid and slowly open your eyes. Okay, great. So glad we all start with meditation. It sort of activates your focus, your attention, and your concentration. It's a very good exercise, at least to be done for 10 minutes every day. It works wonders. So let me just share the screen and we start with the presentation. Yes.
Humble salutations to all the gurus and all the narrators and commentators who have given various views on the Bhagavad Gita. Let's begin with with a brief or a recap of chapter 1, that is Pratamodhyaya. Pratamodhyaya, as last time said, sets a stage or a premise for the rest of the Gita. So where were we in Pratamodhyaya? Arjuna's chariot was parked by Krishna in the middle of Kurukshetra, facing both the armies, mainly facing Bhishma Pitamaha and Guru Dronacharya. And his thoughts were parked in a state of dilemma, inner conflict, vulnerability, and mainly ethical questions. So what does this lead us to? What can one derive out of this? Arjuna, being such a great warrior, who was the best, who had the best of skills and was already the best in his field of archery and everything else that he possessed the skills, he still felt helpless. So what does this mean to us? It just states that at times one cannot handle life's challenges with all the acquired knowledge. So what do we mean by acquired knowledge here? Acquired knowledge can be referred to as an object. What is an object? Object is something which is different from us, from me, from you, from oneself. So with all the objects around, one cannot at times handle life's challenges or dilemmas or ethical questions. So how does it matter? What is it that we need to know? So one needs to focus on the subject. So who is the subject here? The subject here is the self. So the knowledge of the self becomes very important to understand or face life's challenges and to derive at rational solutions for all the ethical questions that we may have. So this brings to, we call subject of the self. So, or the knowledge of the self that we need to know. So this brings us to the name of the Dvitiya Adhyaya, called as, why is it called Sankhya Yoga? Here we are talking about the self. So where does this Sankhya come into the picture? Sankhya is derived from the word Sankhya, sun and kya. Sun means knowledge, kya means to know. So sam yak kiyate iti sankyaha. So something that can be derived out of knowledge. And as the name, as the word depicts, sankhya means it's a numeric. It's some number. So how does one arrive at a number? There's always a process, ephemerical process that once one goes through it, or a step-by-step process that is known. So something that we derive out of a step-by-step process is called as Sankhya. So the knowledge that one derives out of Sankhya is called as Sankhya. So that is why the name Sankhya Yoga. So that is where we come to the word Sankhya Yoga. One more important part that we have to understand is, it mentions here that the Sang means the knowledge of the self or the knowing. So where do we get this knowledge, or where do we get this knowing of the self? Where is it completely housed at? This is housed in the Upanishads. So this is where Krishna brings the essence of the Upanishads in the Dvitiya Adhyaya of Bhagwat Gita. He mentions not only the complete saransh of the Upanishads, but also carves a path as to how this goal or the process can be achieved by an introduction to Karma Yoga also. So Sankhya Yoga is nothing where, and this is the second biggest chapter, Adhyaya of Bhagavad Gita. So this is where, that is why it's almost like the very important portion of the Bhagavad Gita. The first largest is the 18th chapter. So this is where we are at Sankhya Yoga. So this is the meaning of the Dithiya Adhyaya, and that is where we are parked at right now. Now, so let's get into the Dithiya Adhyaya. Since we have 3 verses, I'll just chant the shlokas itself instead of playing the audio. Yeah. Sanjaya Uvacha Tam Tata Krupaya Vishtam Ashrupurna Kulekshanam Vishidam Idam Vakyam Yuvacha Madhusudanaha. So Sanjaya Uvacha. Sanjaya tells that Arjuna, who is overwhelmed with pity, grief, and everything, is grief with his eyes. Akshupurna, Akshu, his eyes are teary-eyed. Akshupurna Kulekshana, his eyes are teary-eyed. So tears here doesn't mean that only he is not able to see the external world. It's manifesting that he is also not able to see the inner reality. So Akshupurna, his eyes are completely filled with tears, and he has a hazy vision. Vision in the sense of both the external and the internal vision. And he's telling this that Madhusudana is going to be saying these words to Arjuna. What do we mean by Madhusudana? As Bidan had told in the last class, every name that is taken, reference of every name in the Gita has a major relevance in every verse that is taken here. Madhusudana. One of the meanings of Madhusudana is Madhu, a demon who slayed Madhu the demon. The second narration of all the gurus who have given us different kinds of narration also says that Madhu is something, it's a heavy drug or an ignorance or a delusion. It's something that is very sedating. So Madhu, that is what Madhu means. And Sudhana is who can control this, or who is going to slay this ego in us. So this is where the first verse stops at. So Sanjaya tells that Madhusudana is addressing Arjuna, who is grief-stricken completely. And he is in the midst of his own thoughts and delusions. So now we come to the verse 2 of the Bhagavad Gita. Till now, this is the first verse where Bhagavan speaks, that is Krishna speaks. Whole of the first chapter, he did not speak anything. So this is where the first verse of Bhagavad Gita begins with. Shri Bhagawanuvacha Kutastvakashmalam idam Vishame samupastitam Anarya Jushtamasvargyam Akirtikaram Arjuna. So finally Krishna speaks. So what does he say? Arjuna, at this point in time, where are you getting this delusion? Delusion and samupasthitam. Samupasthitam is a very prominent word that he is using, that the delusion has not only come into you, but it has captured you. You have overcome by these delusion. And it is not a befitting thing for an Arya. That is a person with such a great valor. It is not befitting you. And it is also not going to asvargyam. So asvargyam, we will take it as a metaphor where it does not lead you to higher abodes or swarga. Swarga is what? Anything that is a very nice place and everything. It doesn't lead you to swarga. Akirtikaram. See, this as a Kshatriya, he has a credibility to stand for. So it is not going to make you credible. It is going to give you disgrace, Arjuna. From where at this point in time have you got these kind of delusionary thoughts? Kashmalam, Kashmakash, that Hindi word, wherever we are getting, the origin is from that. And Malam, Malam is something that is not clean, impurity. So impure thoughts are coming into you, is what Bhagavan is asking Arjuna. It is not asking, he is actually provoking him. He is actually, almost hitting him with these thoughts so that he can at least get up and answer to whatever he is talking. Along with this, the next verse 3 that he talks about, Klaibyam masmagam partha naitatva upapadyate Shudram Hridaya Daurbalyam Tyaktyotishtha Parantapaha. Klaibyam. He says, where is this unmanliness? You are not behaving like a man. This unmanliness has come into you, O Partha. Again, why does Krishna refer to him here as Partha? Partha means son of Pritha. Pritha is another name for Kunti, Arjuna's mother, who herself is a very great warrior woman. Is a very great warrior woman and comes from that lineage of great warriors. So he reminds in every name that he takes, he reminds Arjuna that you being the son of Kunti, Pritha, Partha, why are you doing this? Why are you behaving so much unmanly and giving up your heart to such kind of a things where Hridaya Daurbalyam. Hridaya Daurbalyam is okay. The name depicts Hridaya Daurbalyam. We all will say that it's no. Hridaya is heart. But it is why is it that the mind, your mind is encapsulated or covered with so many delusionary thoughts, and it doesn't befit Pritha's son Partha to be doing this. All the more when you yourself are a vanquisher of so many enemies. Krishna, in all possible ways, is trying to actually almost hit at Arjuna to tell that none of these are befitting you. Because this was a thought out decision. If you had told me this during your Vanaprastha or during your Ajnatavasa, I would have agreed. But not now when it's such a thought out decision. What is it that is stopping you? It doesn't befit you is what Krishna is trying to provoke Arjuna by his words.
Thank you, Ma. I'll start from the verse 4. Uma, if you can play the audio. I don't know if I can hear it. Others are also not able to hear.
I'm also not able to hear.
Oh, okay. Do you want to recite it, Uma?
Arjuna uvacha khata bhishma aham sankhya dronam cha madhusudanaha iti bhum pratiyotishmi puja harvissudanaha. Sorry, yeah, I mean, it was a little unprepared, yeah.
Thank you, Manu. That's fine.
Thank
you, Jyotsna. Yeah, so Arjun says, "O Madhusudan, how can I shoot arrows in battle on men like Bhishma and Dronacharya, who are worthy of my worship, O destroyer of enemies?" So, just to give you all a gist, I think we do remember that Arjuna comes back with his old story, which is from the chapter 1, as to how he can fight with, Dronacharya and Bhishma, whom he worships. And he says, Krishna, your job was simpler because you have destroyed many Rakshasa. And that is why he's called Madhusudana, like, how Uma has mentioned. So you did not have any conflict, so to say. But I am not fighting Rakshasas, but Bhishma and Drona, who are honorable and also my gurus. Therefore, I cannot imagine doing that. So this is the gist of verse 4 over here. Yeah, so if we can move to the next verse, Uma. Jyotsna, will you help us with this?
I also need to experiment with
Shall I recite this? I can
Yeah,
recite
please,
it.
please.
Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
please.
Yeah. Guruna hatva mahanubhavan shreyo bhoktum bhaikshamapiha loke hatvarthakamanstu guruni haiva bhunjiya bhogan rudhira pradigdhan.
Thank you, Ajit. So in verse 5, just to give a quick summary of whatever is written here, it says it is better to live in this world by begging than to enjoy life by killing these noble elders who are my teachers. If we kill them, the wealth and pleasures we enjoy will be tainted with blood. So I'll just give you a more detailed description of this. So in verse 5, if you see, Arjuna is thinking of another option, right? That, okay, suppose he does not fight, what will he have to do? So if he does not fight, Duryodhana will not give him any place to live in this country. So in fact, Duryodhana has mentioned that he will not give even a space of a needle to him. So then he has to go back to the forest. And if he has to live in the forest, he has to live as a sannyasi or as a vanaprastha. Now, and generally sannyasis and vanaprasthas have to live on alms. So when you are living on Bhiksha, it is papa because according to Dharma Shastra, a Grihastha cannot live on Bhiksha, right? So Bhiksha life is only for Brahmacharis and for Sannyasis and Vanaprasthas. So all of them can live on Bhiksha, but Grihasthas cannot live. Why is that? Because there must be somebody who gives them, right? So it is only the grihasthas who give them alms. So even if the grihasthas start begging, then who is the giver here? So that's why it says it is papa. That's the reason it is called as papa here, papa karma. So out of all the 4 ashramas, they say that only the giver, the grihastha, is supposed to be the one who gives here. So if he does not do that, it is one papa. But if he kills his gurus, also it will give him papa. This is what his understanding is. Now Arjuna faces 2 papams here, and he wants to choose the lesser one. In fact, often in our lives, if you see in our own lives, we have different bad choices. And that is the reason why we postpone our decisions, right? If you were to relate it to our life, I think if it was between good and bad, it is easy. But sometimes both the choices in front of us are not so good. And that is the dilemma. That is where even, Arjuna is stuck. We have to choose between the bad, and it is exactly time that we try to avoid decisions. At this time is when we generally try to avoid and not take any decisions. So Arjuna has to choose between these two papams. He says better is bhiksha rather than killing my gurus. Okay, so that is one part. Now he also says, okay, suppose I choose to fight the war and kill my gurus. We might get back the kingdom, instead of staying in the forest, and we may have the palaces, and but we will still incur the sin. And do you think I will enjoy with all those palatial things? I mean, will I ever enjoy that wealth, which will remind me of the heinous crime that I have done? All the wealth, all the pleasure will be smeared with the blood of these people whom I really look up to, who are my gurus. Therefore, I will be only thinking of Bhishma when I am in the palace and his final moment, because I have been with this person, at the time of death, and I've also seen him live. I've lived with this person when he was healthy, wealthy, joyous, and all that. So these memories will be really painful for me. Therefore, neither in this world I will enjoy, or even if after death, because even after I die, it's like a papam, because this is like, okay, afterlife, right? So he says that I will only, think of, what has happened. So it's better that, I'm born out of wealth. We will enjoy only blood-stained pleasures born out of artha, which is wealth, and kama, which is out of sense objects. Therefore, he says, I am not in favor of this war. And here Arjuna, if you see, is utterly confused with regards to dharma and adharma. And he votes for wrong action. Not only is he giving up his swadharma and living on bhiksha, he's taking up somebody else's duty, because generally when you take up, you're supposed to be the giver, but you're not doing that. So you're actually taking up somebody else's duty and giving up one's own duty, which is, like you had to be there in the war field, fighting, doing your duty. He's giving up on that and instead taking up somebody else's duty, which is, arms is not what he is supposed to do as a grihastha, but he's doing that. So they say that giving up one's duty is omission and taking up someone else's duty is commission. Both omission sin and commission sin is what Arjuna is committing here, if you see, right? And Arjuna is not able to recognize because of the muddled thinking right now. Yeah, and Krishna also continues to be helpless because Arjuna is only suggesting his own solutions. If you see, he's still not asked, he's only talking here. Yeah, he's still not asked Krishna, please help me. Right? It's not yet come there. So Arjuna does not feel like taking his help at the moment. And even Krishna is helpless because even if he wants to, he knows that Arjuna is not ready to receive. So this is the crux of verse 5. We can go to verse 6, Uma. Ajit, will you please help us?
Yeah. न चैतद्विद्मैकतरन्नो गरीयो यद्वा जयेम यदि वा नो जयेयुः यानेव हत्वा न जिजीविषामः स्तेव स्थिताः प्रमुखे धार्तराष्ट्राः.
Thank you, Ajit. So here he says that we do not even know which result of this war is preferable for us, conquering them or being conquered by them. Even after killing them, we will not desire to live. Yet they have taken the side of the sons of Dhritarashtra and now stand before us on the battlefield. So this is, I think, easy for all of us to understand, but just to give the other aspects of it, he's trying to say that I'm in a big conflict because my own cousins are in front of me, right? His own cousins, and any other asuras would have been there. I wouldn't have faced any problem. I would have enjoyed cutting their head. But here are my own cousins, and therefore I do not feel like killing them. By killing these people, we would not we would not even live to people, we would not live to even live in this world, as in he would not feel good to live in this world, because they are the people that who are connected to him. It may be a great victory, but we can never rejoice this victory in true sense. And not only that, even if we are sure that it is a dharma yuddha and we take to the fighting, we are not sure whether we will defeat them or they will defeat us. That is also a question here. So to avoid all this, I give up the battle and go to the forest. I may think that I have there, if he goes to the forest, he may actually go there and start thinking, oh, I have, not done my duty. So he will feel incomplete there also. So he's saying that I'm not able to objectively think, because right now I'm feeling, so this verse is a little important because there's a slight shift that happens in his thought process. All the while he was so sure that, I don't want to do this, I don't want to do this. But in verse 6, he starts getting confused. He says, okay, is this or that? I mean, what if this happens? What if that happens? If this happens, I do not like it because I'm seeing my own kith and kin being killed. And if I leave this and go, I will think I have not done my duty. So that will also bother me. So he's somewhere in a confused state, and he's saying, I'm not able to objectively analyze this, or I'm not in that position right now. And I'm so much involved in the situation that my mind has lost all the objectivity. And very importantly, here now he says, and therefore I think I need help of you. Here is where he seeks help of Krishna. So this is where the verse 6 is at. I would also like to quickly add a little bit of what I had read, which I thought was very paramount for us in our daily life. It says that a seeker will go through 4 stages, and it's very important to know, because in this chapter, I think this is what is happening, and I could have related this to my own life. So for the example, the first stage is the discovery of the problem, where we are actually, if we are in a difficult situation, which is that when we are in a samsara that is consisting of raga, dvesha, kama, krodha, all of this, you experience a problem and you want to solve it. You recognize there is a problem and you want to solve it. How do you solve it? The natural way of solving it is to say it's an external factor that is the problem. It is something or someone who is causing that problem. But with experience, you'll realize that how much ever you try to fix the external factors, you will never solve that problem. That noise will always be there. So the first stage is, after so many years of trying and trying and trying doing this, you will realize that the problem is not external, but it is internal. The day you realize that is the first stage, which is the discovery of the problem is not outside, but it is within you. And then comes the stage 2, where you know that there is a problem, but you don't know what to do with it. And this happens so much, I think, with all of us, that we know the problem, but we don't know how to solve it sometimes. And that is okay, because after tampering everything, the external factors, you should know that the problem is in me. The second is, you know that you cannot solve, and there is a discovery of helplessness. So when you are helpless, what do? Like how you can see Krishna now, he is helpless. And then comes the third stage, where you say, okay, I know that there is a problem. I'm also helpless. And then what do? I will take help from outside. And this requires a lot of intellectual honesty and humility, to tell that you let go of your ego and say, you know what, I'm not able to do this and I need help. I need to surrender myself. And that's the stage where right now Arjuna is. So yeah, I think I'm done with mine. Thank you so much. Over to Sahana.
Yeah. Yeah. Thank you, Sapna, and thank you, Uma, for giving the context. Yeah. I think, Ajit, I need your help to recite this.
Yeah, sure. कार्पण्यदोषोपहतः स्वभावः पृच्छामि त्वां धर्मसम्मूढचेताः यच्छ्रेयस्यानिश्चितं ब्रूहि तन्मे शिष्यस्तेऽहं शाधि मां त्वां प्रपन्नम्.
Yeah, thank you, Ajit. Yeah, here So we know that Arjuna, there is a slight shift the way Arjuna is looking at this problem, right? So this verse means, I am confused about my duty, and I am in a state of anxiety, and I don't know what to do. I am utterly confused. So he is asking Krishna for the help, for the teachings, right? So, but wherein Krishna is not ready, Krishna is not okay with Arjuna's loose confession here. He wants Arjuna to express it openly with honesty. So he's asking Arjuna, why are you not admitting your ignorance openly? Ignorance is not sin. Every human being is born ignorant. They're not ignorant. They're ignorant not only about many things, they're ignorant about their own self, right? So ignorance is not sin. So you should open it, you should admit it openly. That's what Krishna is saying. So he's saying Bhavat Swabhava. Swabhava means the innermost heart, Antakarna, we call it, right? So we have studied about Antakarna while studying Tattva Bodha, right? So here we can translate it as mind. So he's telling Upahata means the mind is not functional. Right now, Arjuna is telling, my mind is unable to function. It is unable to do its duties. So what is the function of the mind? It is Viveka, discrimination. Discrimination between two things, right? So he's telling, my mind is deluded or clouded with moha, the attachments. So he's telling, I am not able to decide what is right. So I'm confused. He's telling, I'm confused. So he's confused regarding what? He's confused regarding dharma and adharma. So in Dharma Shastra, it is clearly said, you can't harm or hurt anybody willfully, whether it is physically, mentally, or verbally. And you shouldn't be killing your own kith and kins. You can't kill your elders. You can't kill your gurus. So that is, on one side of the mind is saying that he can't do any of this. So this is not right. So on the other side, Dhritarashtrasya durbuddhir. Dhritarashtra is the embodiment of adharma. And unfortunately, this Bhishma Pitamaha and Dronacharya, his guru, has sided this adharma. So he has to take action. He has to fight. So here he is asking, please help me. I am not able to make a right choice. And you tell me what is the right course of action. You decide and tell me. You don't tell me this may be right or that may be right. You tell me, Nishchaya, what is exactly, decide and tell me what is certainly is going to be good for me. What is the right course of action I should be taking? Here Arjuna is asking Krishna that way. But wherein a wise person will not give advice to anyone until and unless it is asked. Even if it is just casually asked, he will not give. Only when you know that the other person is honest enough to receive his advice sincerely, right? That is where here Krishna is also not, he wants to be sure whether Arjuna is going to listen to him with that open mind. That's why until now he is not giving any advice to Arjuna. So Arjuna is telling, I am your Shishya. Please tell me what I should do, right? So who is Shishya? Shiksha Yogyata Shishya. The one who is fit to receive the teaching is the Shishya, right? And yogyata we know, right? Yogyata, even in Kannada we call it eligibility. So what determines the eligibility of a student? So this, I think Sapna is spoke on this, but I will just revisit this, right? So first thing is, one should have an open-mindedness to listen to any teachings. So many of us will be sitting here and thinking that, I've read Bhagavad Gita 5 times or 10 times or 20 times. Let's see what these people are going to tell. Is it going to be right or wrong? Right? That is a prejudiced mind. So he's telling, if a student comes with this prejudiced mind, thinking this is right or this is not right, or any preconceived notions, that is not going to help, right? So it is always good to have an open mind to receive any kind of advice or teachings. So here, Arjuna is saying, I am your Shishya. Please tell me what to do. So the moment he says that, automatically the other person becomes the guru, right? So this verse is very, very important because you can see the transition of the beings. The Arjuna who is a soldier, has converted into a Shishya or a disciple, right? And the moment he has become a Shishya, even he has made Krishna as a Jagat Guru or a Gita Acharya, right? This is the transition happens in verse 7. So now that he has asked, give me the teachings. I don't know what to do, right? So what should Krishna do now? Can he just give one mantropadesha and be done with it? Can't, right? Because the context is very different here. So a mantropadesha might help purifying the mind or for a temporary gratitude. But here he is in a big dilemma, in a crucial problem where the ignorance has to be removed, right? So he is asking for, that's why Arjuna is asking not a solution, he is asking for the teachings, right? So now when he says that I am surrendering to you, please give me the teachings. So, just a minute. So here Krishna was actually could see that, Arjuna is being honest to receive the teachings, and he was actually happy. Finally, he is happy that even he was also waiting for the opportunity to give his teachings to Arjuna, right? So let's see what happens in the next verse number 8. Yeah, Ajit, could you please help me?
न हि प्रपश्यामि ममापनुद्यात् यच्छोकमुच्छोषणमिन्द्रियाणाम् अवाप्य भूमावसपद्ममृद्धं राज्यं सुराणामपि चाधिपत्यम्.
So here Arjuna is expressing his state of mind. He's telling that I do not see anything that can remove this sorrow of mine, which weakens all my sense organs. Even after getting an unraveled, prosperous kingdom upon earth, and even after getting this kingship over the gods, I don't think, that can remove my sorrow. He's confessing, Arjuna is confessing his grief. He's telling this grief is so deep and so intense that any of these local solutions will not really work. So we might have so many temporary worldly solutions, but that cannot uproot the problem of innermost grief which Arjuna has. So he's telling, my grief is so intense, it is not only weakening or dries up my sense organs, the Jnanendriyas and Karmendriyas, it is still worst. It is weakening my thinking faculty, the buddhi, right? So he is telling, can I forget this problem of mine like a child? Is there an escape from this sorrow? is the escapism possible? He don't know. He's completely thinking so many different ways to get out of this situation. So he's saying this grief is not going to go away. I don't see a method to remove this grief other than your teachings. He's telling Krishna, other than your teachings, I don't think there is any other way to escape or to remove the sorrow, right? So he's telling, I may choose to fight. I may kill all of them. I may win this war. I may become emperor. So I may get this kingdom or the Rajyam, which is unraveled with prosperity. But he's telling, what is Arjuna telling? Why is he saying, I may? Because he's indicating that money cannot remove the problem of sorrow. Like they say, right? Like money can buy a bed, but not sleep. Or money can buy a food, but not hunger. So same way, he's telling this, my problem of samsara cannot be solved by worldly accomplishments. That is the essence of this shloka. So basically, what we have to understand is every human being should discover that the problem of samsara cannot be solved by any worldly accomplishment or material acquirements, right? Therefore, one has to go to the spiritual goal of life. And going to a spiritual goal of life is nothing but going to a guru. And this, a person will discover after a lot of experience. And some people realize it at a young age. Some people at 20, or some people at 50, or some people at 90. But some people may not realize even in the deathbed. But thank God in Hinduism, better luck next birth, right? So that is what, but one or the other day, one has to come around to this only. So here, Arjuna finally surrenders himself and asking Krishna what that I have to do, right? So let's see what Krishna does in the next verse 2.9. Yeah.
Sanjay uvacha एवमुक्त्वा ऋषिकेशं गुडकेश परन्तप न योत्स्य इति गोविन्दम् उक्त्वा तूष्णीं बभूवः.
Thank you, Sapna. Thank you, Sahana. So you both very, very pictorially, almost we could imagine Krishna and Arjuna in the middle of Kurukshetra and Arjuna's helplessness, and then the slow transition of surrendering, almost surrendering to Krishna and telling him, I don't know what to do, so you please lead me from here. Probably Krishna was waiting for this. That, okay, I need two things that all of us have to understand here is, maybe it was like how both Sapna and Sahana put it across. One is we need a totally receptive mind and a totally available person to take any teachings or anything that can be absorbed like a sponge. So that is the stage in which Krishna wanted to bring Arjuna into. That is why all the provocations happened, so that he could understand that, okay, accept, like how Sapna said, that discover that there is a problem. So in Shloka 2.9, Sanjaya is telling this, Sanjaya Vacha. So let's shift our focus to Hastinapura, where Sanjaya is narrating all these incidents to Dhritarashtra. Dhritarashtra is also curious to know what is going to happen next. So Sanjaya has not been chosen for this thing of seeing the Kurukshetra through sitting at Hastinapur. Sanjaya says that, Sanjaya said, having spoken these words. See, one thing that through the Bhagwat Gita, what we have to observe, like how lot of commentators have told is, Sanjaya always addresses as spoken these words. So it is something like these words means they never tell that it was told only to Arjuna. So to extrapolate it, it is these words are, it goes to tell that these things are indicators for us, and it's like a tool book or a handbook that we can use it. So this is why that these words are used here. The narrator tells that is how it is. So Sanjaya Vacha, Sanjaya says, Gudakesha. Gudakesha is, Gudaka means sleep. Gudakesha is a person, Gudaka Isha, who has won over his sleep. That is Arjuna, who has won over his sleep, and he has also been a slayer of enemies, addressed Rishikesha. Rishikesha, I think last time we did speak about it, a master of the mind and the senses, that is Krishna. He told him that I am not going to fight. Govind, I am not going to fight. I shall not fight, is what he says. Why is Sanjaya almost, Sanjaya is already aware of the qualities of both Arjuna and Krishna. So Sanjaya is the one who is addressing them as Gudakesha and Rishikesha. Why this comes here is, in the previous verses, that is in Pratamadhyaya, in one of the places Arjuna mentions that my senses are not working. I give up. I don't know. I am not able to have a control of my senses. I don't know where my senses are taking. So he is telling a person, a tamo guna of Gudaka. Gudaka is a tamo guna, that is sleep. A person who has won over his sleep, Gudaka, can also go through these dilemmas and tell that, yes, my senses are not working and I don't know. That is why the reference that Gudakesha here is Arjuna, and Rishikesha, who is a master of the mind, is mentioned in this verse 9. And so we come to verse number 10, where it almost is a first portion of where Arjuna is surrendering. And henceforth, Krishna is going to be talking about the knowledge of the self, layer by layer, step by step, and connecting everything. So verse 10 just tells a very simple thing. Tvamo ucha Rishikesha prahasanniva bharata senoyor ubayor madhye vishidam idam vacham. This is nothing but, I mean, Sanjaya is only telling this, that Krishna, after seeing a grief-stricken Arjuna, taken over by pity, taken over by compassion, and whatever we call it, is just standing in the midst of the armies, both the armies in Kurukshetra, where he has given up his Gandiva and he's sitting and he's surrendered. Krishna is just smiling at him to take the next step forward as to what has to be done. He analyzes that, yes, my Shishya, as Sahanas mentioned, the person is ready to absorb, and here the whole thing starts with verse 11, which we'll be taking in the next class. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Wasn't it such a beautiful presentation? Amazing job done.
Wow.
Thank you, Masahana and Sapna. Amazing job. Very nice. Right.
Yes, very nice.
Very nice. So quickly, I will try and close this out with putting the context in place in terms of where we started. So we tend to understand the continuity where we are and what are the specific learnings from these from last 1 hour. First thing, if you see in the beginning, Krishna reprimands Arjuna, right? He's saying, he used very, very harsh word to Arjuna. What does it tell you? See, Arjuna is going through an emotional crisis. When someone is going through emotional crisis and one is not ready for it, you can't then talk to them about logic. So a lot of you are our counselors over here, and you know this very well. When someone is emotionally very high, at that point of time when nobody is ready, only way to communicate to them at that point of time is to use emotion as a tool. And that is what Shri Krishna was trying to do initially. And he was using the harsh word, not because he was scolding Arjuna. We have to understand that Arjuna was a great warrior. And therefore, he does not need any kind of a validation from Sri Krishna. So Sri Krishna was using harsh word because he was talking to a warrior and he had a very special relationship with Arjuna. So sometimes the friends speak like this, Abhi kya kar raha hai, what sort of a person you are, and those kind of language. So this is exactly what was happening initially. That's the first thing. Right? So someone who comes to you in a lot of distress, for all you know, they are not ready for it. So please let us not give them logic. The second important part, what we understood from here is that Krishna did not start speaking till the time Arjuna wasn't recipient enough. What does it tell us? It simply tells us that let us not give advice till the time people sincerely seek for it. Generally, the tendency is to kind of tell people what they should be doing, how should be behaving, what they should be, and this and that, and a whole lot of things basis our belief system. The point here very clearly communicates to us is till the time nobody asks for it or people are not ready for it, let us not give any kind of advice. Right? So it's coming out so very clearly in the process. Third thing which came out very clearly is that in our lives, we will go through Dharma Sankata. What is Dharma Sankata? Sapna very beautifully explained the entire process. Well, both the choices look equally miserable, right? Either you stay in the family or get out of the family, whether you confront or take the entire load on yourself, you speak or you don't speak. So both the choices looks equally bad. And when both the choices look equally bad, that is called Dharma Sankata. You really don't know which way to go. And at that point of time, you are not in a position to actually discern what is right for you and wrong for you. Someone like Arjuna, who is such a great warrior, who had played so many battles, there he clearly tells Krishna that you have been slaying demons. It's so easy for you. You know that is a bad guy, that's a wrong guy. It's easy for you to go and cut them off. But for me, I really don't know, because on the other side, it's not the demons, it's my own people standing out there. So I really don't know what is to be done. And this is exactly what happens in our real lives, right? The choices becomes extremely difficult. And that is what Arjuna is depicting, the real Dharma Sankata. And there are a lot of times we actually do not know what is the right step. And therefore, what comes in is either procrastination or trying to suppress ourselves. And this is what exactly is happening with Arjuna. Can you see this very clearly? And therefore, if we are in a situation like this, is okay. I mean, we should not really kill ourselves and tell that we are weak, we are not good enough, and so on and so forth. Point is, this happens to everyone. The another important part, which also very beautifully was brought out by Sahana in one of the shlokas, where Arjuna clearly said that even if I get all the words, I'll still not be able to come out of grief. What are they trying to say? They're saying that when you are going through a pain, the worldly solutions are not going to help you. At best, it could help you distract. So for example, if someone is going through intense amount of pain and suffering, generally we end up going and eating out, get into a new relationships, do binge watching, start eating, doing a whole lot of things to distract ourselves, isn't it? And that's what the normal tendency is. And so beautifully, Arjuna clearly calls it out very clearly to Sri Krishna, ki, look, even if I have killed my people and I feel I have done a sin, in spite of the fact I get everything in the world, it's not going to make me happy. He was very clear on that front. And therefore he was trying to say, hey, I want peace of mind. I need to know what is the right thing to do and not try and look at temporary ways to settle myself down. Do you see the depth of Bhagwat Gita? And that is what makes it so very exciting for each one of us over here. And that is what very beautifully Sahana brought it out in her verses, that Arjuna clearly says that I am not okay with getting everything externally when internally I am not settled. And therefore, please give me the understanding where I'm internally settled. I do not want everything out there. So that's what happens very nicely. Also, you will see very interesting characteristic over here, that he basically asks Sri Krishna, what should I do? Sri Krishna very clearly tells him, go out and fight. Don't be so unmanly. Still, in the end, in verse number 9, what does Arjuna say? I will not fight. It does happen. People come to you, ask for advice, and they want to exactly listen to what they want to listen. And sometimes it may not be the case. So do you see this? Do you see this? Have you seen it yourself? that you want to listen, you want to go for an advice to a person, but you want to listen what you want to listen. And if that person doesn't say that, you do not feel good. And this is exactly what happened to Arjuna. He said, Krishna, I am our disciple. Tell me what is to be done. He very well knew Krishna told him to fight, but still he decides not to fight. Do you see how beautifully the emotions are clearly said? And in the verse number 10, it clearly says that Krishna smiles. Krishna smilingly spoke. It does not mean that Krishna is very happy about what the war is going to happen. He's not happy about the death and the destruction that is going to happen. But he's still able to keep himself calm and composed against Arjuna, who is completely deluded, grief-struck. Why? What kind of tells you that in the same situation, two different people can behave two different manners depending upon the filter with which they look at the world. And therefore it says, Shri Krishna smilingly spoke. Not that he was happy, but he exactly knew what was happening. So this kind of puts all the learnings together. It is important for us to take a very clear-cut, hard learnings from what we have learned. And that is what we are going to do in the end of every session to try and sum it up. And yes, we are done with our timings today. I'm sorry we do not have time for question and answers. Maybe we'll take it up next week. And we will end up with a prayer. And after the prayer, if someone wants to hold back and ask for questions, we are more than happy to answer. Thank you. Over to you, Asha.
Okay. Vasudevasutam Devam Kamsachanuramadhanam Devaki Paramanandam Krishnam Vande Jagadgurum. Om Sarve Bhavantu Sukhinah Sarve Santu Niramaya Sarve Bhadrani Pashyantu Ma Kaschid Dukkha Bhag Bhavet. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti.